Hi everyone, welcome to Jewels for You tutorials. My name is Leticia, owner and designer of Jewels for You, and today I will be showing you how to make a beaded clasp. And to start off with, I want to remind you that this clasp, you have already seen it in the necklace of my first tutorial, the wire crochet necklace. I showed you that clasp with light blue pearls. This time we're going to make the same clasp, but we're going to be using crystals. So our materials are, we're going to be using 6 size 5mm round crystals. They could be crystals, they could be pearls, they could be any kind of glass bead, as long as it's 5mm. If you want to make it a smaller one, that's fine, that's up to you. I am using a 5mm because that is that comes to about the width I need for the toggle bar to go into. We're also going to be using 12 size 4mm bicones and 6 more to embellish the toggle bar. And if you don't want to embellish the toggle bar, that's fine. You can either leave it as a tube, or you can use only one of these crystals as a cap, as a single cap to end it. I'm also going to be using size 8 seed beads. These are in a blue iridescent color that sort of has a purplish hue that is perfect for the kind of necklace that I'm going to use this clasp for. You're going to be using also your size 10 or 12 needle and your fire line, and of course some cutters. Now I want to talk to you about this this thread conditioner. It's called Thread Heaven. I use it very often because it is like it says, it's a conditioner for your thread. It covers it. This is silicone based. There are also bars made out of beeswax that are used to cover your fire line with, so that it can make it more resistant to breakage, and it also makes it less prone to get tangled and get knots in it and all that. And especially when you're working with cutting beads that have a cutting edge, like crystals, bicones, and all those, and any other kind of glass bead, this thread conditioner can come in very handy to protect your thread from breakage. So let's get started. We're going to well, I just wanted to show you the importance of a clasp, because I have seen it's a continuation of your work. If you spend a lot of time doing your making your bracelets and your necklaces, and then you end up with just like any clasp, sometimes it takes away from your work. So I want to show you this bracelet. It's made with pearls, of course you can see, and I have these small embellishments with size 15 seed beads, and to come across it in an old gold tone. And as you can see, I added this clasp. It's just a flower component. It's not metallic. It's I think it's resin. I'm not sure, but I know it's not metallic. And all I did was add one bead, just like the ones in the rest of the bracelet, and a seed bead, a bigger seed bead, to match the color of the smaller seed beads that I have embellishing the bracelet. And I made this loop to hook around the clasp. And as you can see, the bracelet, you can turn it every other way, and it just looks like a continued work. It's very, like, it forms part of my bracelet no matter which way I turn it. And that is what I'm trying to use to show you. That's what I'm trying to do by showing you these beaded clasps. It takes a little more time, but if you take the time, your work will look much more professional, and it will have like a more uniform finish. So let's get started with our work. We're going to start by beading all these 6 5mm rounds with a bicone in between. We're going to be using first 6 bicones in between each 5mm crystal round. So it's going to be a crystal and a bicone until you have finished all your crystals. Okay, if you start with a crystal, you end with a bicone. So it's going to be 6 crystals and 6 bicones all together in your thread to begin with. And let me just finish here. Crystal, bicone, crystal, bicone. The colors I have chosen are because I'm using this to change the clasp on a necklace that on one of my wire crochet necklaces, because it has a horrible clasp, and it's very difficult when you make wire crochet necklaces to get the appropriate clasp because of the colors of the wire that I use. So now that we have all this in our thread, we have the 6 rounds and 6 bicones in between. Like I said, you start with a crystal, you end with a bicone, and you're going to leave a short tail, because this tail, what we're going to do with this tail is just tie off the end. So we're going to go through all our beads one more time, making sort of making a small loop, going around the whole amount of beads. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so here I went through all the beads, and you sort of form a loop, and as you pull on it, you close it, and it's around. So now we're going to use that small tail that we left at the end to make a good couple of knots to close it, and then we can cut it off. Now don't worry about that knot, because once we start working on our pattern, it's going to go into the first bead that we thread through. So don't worry too much about that knot showing in your work. It will not. It will go into the bead. Okay, so there. I just made a couple of good knots. And now I can cut. Okay, we're going to go, this is, our thread is coming, let me zoom in a bit so that you can see my work better. Okay, let me push all the seed beads out of here. Now our thread is coming out of this, we're coming out here, but we're going to go into this first 5mm round. So as we go through it, just through the 5mm round, hold on, we're going to pull our thread, and as we pull our thread, the knot is inside the bead. As you can see, the knot is inside the bead. So now we can cut off this tail. And we're going to continue with our work. Now we're going to take 2 seed beads and skip this bicone. We're going to take 2 seed beads, skip the bicone, and we're going to go into the next 5 millimeter round. Just like that. Take 2 more seed beads, skip the bicone. I'm sorry. Take 2 more seed beads, skip the bicone, and go through the next 5 millimeter round. And we're going to do this all around until we finish until we finish going all around our work. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I have gone all around my work, putting 2 seed beads on top of every bicone. I'm about to put the last 2 on top of the last bicone. And going through the 5 millimeter crystal. So here we are. Sometimes you gotta wiggle your way there. Okay, there. So this is what our work should look like right now. There's 2 seed beads on top of every bicone. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go through our first seed bead of the first pair next to the 5 millimeter that we just came out of, and we're going to take another bicone and we're going to put it between those 2 seed beads. Okay, so we take our 4 millimeter bicone and we go through the next seed bead and through the next crystal, the next 5 millimeter crystal, if you can. If you can't do it in just one step, you can do it first through the seed bead, and then through the 5 millimeter bicone. I mean the 5 millimeter crystal. Okay? Okay, what happened here? Okay, so we're coming out of this 5 millimeter. We're going to go up again through our first seed bead on the next pair. Sorry about that. Oh, come on. There. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to go through the first seed bead. We're going to go through the first seed bead, take a bicone, and go through the next seed bead. And make sure you're fitting your bicone in there. It will fit in there because there's enough space. There. It will fit in there perfectly well. Go through your next 5 millimeter. And we're going to do this all around, okay? So I'll be back. Okay, so here we're back. And I'm about to put the last bicone between the last 2 seed beads. This is what your work should be looking like. You have a bicone on top of every bicone on the bottom, in between the 2 seed beads that are in between the 2 crystals. So it's beginning to look like this, and I already have my bicone in my thread, and I'm going to go through the last. I already have my thread coming out of the last seed bead of the last pair, the first seed bead of the last pair, and I'm going to put my bicone in there. Okay. So there, I have my bicone, and I have finished that round. Now the last round is really easy. This could be your last round, or you can make it even more. You can add more to this clasp round, but that it depends entirely on on you. So we're coming out of the seed bead, and now we're going to take 3 seed beads, and we're going to skip the crystal, the next 5 millimeter crystal, and go through the seed bead on the other side. Let me just, I'm trying to, at the end, when we're on this round, everything tends to get really tight. So, I have a hard time. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. once you go through the next seed bead on the other side of the 5mm round, the 5mm round has a crown made of the seed beads. Now we're going to go through the next. Our thread is coming out of the seed bead on the other side of the crystal. We're going to go through the bicone. And we're going to go through the next seed bead. And when we go through the next seed bead, make sure that it doesn't go into the crystal. It tends to go into the crystal. So just make sure it doesn't. And we're going to pick up once more. We're going to pick up 3 more seed beads. And skip the crystal and go through the next seed bead on the other side. And then one more time we go through our bicone and through our next seed bead. I'm sorry, okay, our bicone and through our next seed bead. And we're going to pick up 3 more seed beads to make that crown over the crystal. And as I said, we're going to do this all around. Go through the seed bead. Go through the seed bead. Go through the bicone. Go through the next seed bead. And then continue doing this all around until all your crystals are crowned with 3 seed beads. And I'll be back. Okay, here I am back, and I have gone through my whole work and I'm about to finish. I have 3 seed beads on my needle and I have gone through the last seed bead I have to go through, and I am going to crown the last round. Now after this step, what we're going to do is that we're going to go through all our work so that we can reinforce it by going through the whole everything that we just made, our whole beaded clasp, so that we can reinforce it with the thread. And after we finish that, what we're going to do, once we're finished going through our whole clasp and reinforcing it, what we're going to do is we can either make a small, a bigger loop here. We take up 7 seed beads, and we make a bigger loop by going from one bicone to the other bicone, and we make a bigger loop. Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't see that. Let me do it again. Okay, here, let me do it again. I took up 7 seed beads, and I went from one bicone that I'm coming out from to the next bicone, and I went through the bicone and I made this loop. So here I can hook my wire to add it to my necklace. You can also use a jump ring to go through, making it go putting it through one of your seed beads like this and closing it. Okay, these are the wrong wires. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay. You can do it either way. You can make this loop here, or you can put a jump ring, and that way you can add it to your work. You can add this jump ring and you can add it to your work, or you can make this loop here. I am going to stick to this loop. I'm going to make it. I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to take off the jump ring. But remember to go through your work first. And this is how you end the first part of